Hi, today I'm going to be presenting Feminism in 2020. Feminism is the belief in social, economic, and political equality of the sexes. People who have participated in this movement are known as feminists. Throughout all of history, women have had to suffer through inequality. They are viewed as objects for men. Women did not have a chance to pursue their education and much less any career of any sort. Their future was set in stone. They would marry, have kids, clean around the house, and tend to their husband's needs. Women had no say in any political activity, being deprived of the right to vote. Women were beat and raped, and they couldn't do a thing about it because the law was always on the man's side. But all of that's over now, right? This topic is controversial because a lot of people say that women are now equal in 2020, but they're wrong. Yes, if you look at most of the first world countries these days, most of the issues have been solved. Women are seen less and less as objects and more as their own person with their own goals and their own life. Women are now allowed to go to school and become whatever they want to be. They now have political power and there are laws the laws have been adjusted to support women and protect them from harm. But if you look at a lot of the other countries, you can see that these issues have not been fixed whatsoever, and they're not even close to being fixed. Women are still getting treated the way they always have been. That's why I believe feminism is still very important in 2020. It is about helping other women achieve the freedom and justice that men have. People in first world countries who are against feminism tend to forget that there are other countries that show clear signs of injustice. Also, people who are against feminism tend to believe that feminists hate men or want to become superior to men. But that is not what feminist stands for. Feminism stands for the equality between sexes. Equality. It is in my best interest as a habitant of this earth to stand for women's rights, and that is why I encourage this movement. Women having the same rights as men is not only good for women, but also for the whole population of our earth. If women were more educated, there would be a significant amount less deaths because they would know more about being healthy and safe. If these women would become mothers, their children would be nourished and be less likely to die. Will be better nourished than they were if they weren't educated, and they would be less likely to die. If all mothers completed primary education, maternal deaths would be reduced by 2/3, saving 98,000 lives. In sub-Saharan Africa, if all women completed primary education, maternal deaths would be reduced by 70%, almost saving 50,000 lives. If all women had a primary education, there would be 15% fewer child deaths. If all women had a secondary education, the number of child deaths would be cut in half, saving 3 million lives. If all women had a primary education, 1.7 children would be saved from stunting or malnutrition, and with a secondary education, 12 million children. These women would also be less inclined to have children at a young age, and they could participate in the economy by getting jobs and pursuing careers. 10% fewer girls would become pregnant under 17 years in sub-Saharan Africa and South and West Asia if they all had a primary education, and almost 60% fewer girls if they had a secondary education. In sub-Saharan Africa, women with no education have 6.7 births on average. This figure falls to 5.8 for those with primary education and more than half to 3.9 for those with a secondary education. Also, educated women are less likely to get married at a young age. If all girls had a primary education, there would be 14% fewer child marriages. If all girls had a secondary education, there would be 2/3 fewer child marriages. If a woman is educated, she is eligible to get a job, therefore helping to close the gap between men and women, the pay gap between men and women, and they also participate in the economy. In Pakistan, women with a primary education earn 51% of what men earn, with a secondary education, 70%. In Jordan, women with a primary education earn 53%, and with a secondary education, 67% of what men earn. In Brazil, only 37% of women with less than primary education are in work. This rises to 50% if they have a primary education and 60% with a secondary education. Giving an education to women helps the economy greatly. If more women get educated, they get better and better jobs. There are more and more brains in the works and more activity in the economy. This would help the whole world to have a better economy. Everyone will benefit. Women make up 2/3 of the world's illiterate people. Imagine how many new jobs and businesses would open up if women could get an education like men do. But it isn't only in education women are victim of injustice. In their everyday lives, women must face multiple obstacles. They must act and dress a certain way just to feel safe to walk out their door. They must dress conservatively, not go out alone at night, cover their drinks in bars, not provoke men, etc., etc., etc. Even if they do follow these unwritten rules, they are still at a high risk of becoming a victim of sexual assault. Here's another statistic. Sexual assault is a gendered crime. Women are victimized at a higher rate. 37 women out of 1,000 are victims of sexual assault, as opposed to 5 men out of 1,000. This doesn't happen because women don't know how to dress. This happens because of years and years of men not getting punished for these acts, and they still aren't always getting punished for them. Men aren't discouraged from this behavior. It's women who are told to cover up and you should have been more careful. And that's on toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is suppressing of emotions, maintaining an appearance of hardness, and being violent as an indicator of power. These are normally characteristics portrayed by men. Getting rid of toxic masculinity would not only help women, but also help men. Men have a higher risk of committing suicide because they repress their emotions. Now, feminism isn't about bashing men for what they've done in the past and what other men have done and that they haven't done maybe. It is about empowering women to stand up for themselves to reach equality. I could go on and on and on about the examples of women facing injustices in their day-to-day lives, but I only have a restricted amount of time and it would just go on and on and on. So, to conclude, feminism is about empowering women that have not yet reached the level of equality that maybe we have. And it is also about trying to reach the highest level of equality that we can that's what feminism is about. It's not about becoming stronger than men or hating men. I like men. Don't get me wrong. Okay, a little bit too much. Anyways, and it's not about hating men. It's about loving women and helping each other out so that our lives can be just a little bit easier and that we have all the same opportunities as men do, and so that we live in a peaceful world where people are happy.